Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your engagement means the world to me. She said it over scrambled eggs on a Sunday morning in our Austin kitchen, like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. I've been thinking, Dana said, still scrolling her phone. From now on, I'm traveling separately. You're just too boring to bring along. No build-up, no warning. Just a verdict dropped between the coffee and the toast. I'm Daniel, 38. My wife Dana, 35. Married for 8 years, together for 11. And if this sounds like it came out of nowhere, I promise you it didn't. This was just the first time she stopped cushioning the blow. We were supposed to be planning a trip to celebrate our anniversary. Somewhere coastal, something peaceful. Instead, Dana had spent the last 30 minutes showing me Instagram videos of Tulum. Fire dancers, rooftop pools, people who looked allergic to silence and commitment. I need adventure, she said, setting her phone face down like she'd made a business decision. You like slow mornings and hiking trails and reading. I can't keep dragging you into a life that doesn't fit you. I looked at her for a moment. So you're saying you don't want to travel with your husband? She sighed. That particular sigh she'd been perfecting for years. Don't make it weird. I just don't want to babysit you while I'm trying to actually live. Babysit. I let that word sit in the air between us. I waited for her to flinch, to laugh, to walk it back. She reached for her coffee instead. Have fun, I said. She looked up, surprised. Maybe she expected tears. A debate. Some version of me begging her to find me interesting enough to take along. I gave her nothing but those 2 words, rinsed my mug, and walked to my home office. What she didn't know, what she couldn't see past her own restlessness, was that something had shifted in me the moment that word landed. Babysit. I hadn't planned anything. I hadn't been waiting for a trigger. But sitting down at my desk that morning, something calm and final settled into my chest like a stone dropping to the bottom of a still lake. She booked Tulum by that afternoon. Didn't ask about dates. Didn't discuss the calendar. Just announced it from the living room couch, like she was ordering takeout. 2 weeks, she called out. Solo. I need space to remember who I am. I appeared in the doorway. Sounds good. That bothered her more than anything else I could have said. She frowned. You're not even upset. Have fun, I said again. And I meant it. Both times. She studied me the way you study a stranger who's inexplicably calm in an emergency. Looking for the real reaction. The insecurity. The questions about who she'd be going with, what she'd be doing, who she'd meet at those rooftop bars with the infinity pools. I gave her nothing. Instead, I went upstairs and opened my laptop. See, here's what 11 years teaches you. People don't change overnight. Dana hadn't woken up bored one Sunday morning. This had been building slowly, the way water damage works, quiet and invisible until the ceiling caves in. Every eye roll when I suggested a state park over a resort. Every comparison to couples she followed online who seemed to exist in a permanent state of excitement and filtered sunlight. Every time she introduced me at parties with that particular smile that said, he's reliable the way you describe a sensible pair of shoes. I had tried to keep pace once. Gone to the restaurants she wanted. Stayed at the overpriced hotels. Smiled through conversations I had no interest in because that's what you do. Somewhere along the way, I'd stopped being her partner and started being her plus one, an obligation she brought along out of habit. That night, while she packed linen sets and FaceTimed her friend Stephanie about how marriage was designed to kill spontaneity, I opened our joint accounts. Savings. The travel fund we'd built mostly on my income. The emergency account I'd contributed to for 6 straight years. I didn't drain them. I separated them. Methodically. Legally. The way you'd sort items before a move. Then I emailed an attorney I'd met 2 years earlier through a colleague at work. Subject line, preliminary consultation, marital separation. I hit send, closed the laptop, and went to bed. She didn't notice. She was too busy performing her liberation for an audience of 2. The morning she left, she kissed my cheek like she was doing me a favor. Try not to miss me too much, she said, smiling at her own reflection in the hallway mirror. I'll manage, I replied. Her Uber pulled out of the driveway at 7:14 a.m. I stood there watching it go and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not relief, not grief, just peace, wide and quiet in mine. The first few days, the house recalibrated itself around my schedule. I slept when I wanted, ate what I wanted, walked the trail behind our neighborhood every evening as the light went golden and slow. Her texts came in like clockwork. Photos first, her feet in white sand, a cocktail with a paper umbrella, a sunset with the caption, "This is what it feels like to be alive." That last one went directly to me. I sent a thumbs up. That seemed to infuriate her more than silence. By day 3, the caption shifted. "Daniel, you've been weirdly quiet." Then, "You know this trip isn't about you, right?" Then, "Are you seriously not going to check in on me?" I read each one, set the phone face down on the kitchen counter, and went outside. The sunset that evening was nothing dramatic. Orange bleeding into pink, then gray. Birds settling into the trees that backed up to the fence. No soundtrack, no filter. I sat on the back steps and watched it fade like I was the only person in the world who had time to notice it. Later that night, I opened a folder on my laptop I'd labeled just in case years ago. Bank statements, property records, insurance policies. I created it the year we bought the house, told myself I was being responsible, never touched it again. Now it felt less like pessimism and more like foresight. I scheduled the attorney consultation for the following week. When Dana video called that night from a bar loud enough to make the conversation impossible, I watched the phone buzz and didn't answer. I watched it vibrate through a third call and a fourth voicemail. And sitting there in the quiet, I realized something. She thought she was leaving me behind. What she didn't understand was that I'd been alone in this marriage for years. She just finally said it out loud, and in doing so, she'd handed me something I didn't know I'd been waiting for. Permission. End of the first week, her posting style changed. Fewer landscapes, more of herself. Beach clubs. New friends and group shots cropped just enough that I couldn't tell who was standing closest to her. Every caption carrying the same frequency. Unbothered, upgraded, reborn. She wanted me to see it. I didn't react. That's when a financial call started. "Daniel, my card isn't working." Voice sharp, the sound of the ocean behind her. "I separated the accounts," I said. "You can't just do that." They were joint. I closed them. She laughed. That short laugh she used when she thought I was being absurd. "Okay. Funny. Fix it." "No." Silence. "Are you punishing me?" "I'm organizing my life." "You're traveling separately." "I'm doing the same." Her tone shifted, controlled now, recalibrating. "I see. So this is a power move. This is clarity." "Daniel." Her voice dropped. "Don't do anything stupid while I'm gone. We'll talk when I get back." "I've already done what needed doing," I said. "You weren't here to discuss it. That was your choice." She hung up. The next morning, I filed preliminary separation papers. No dramatics. No fantasies about courtrooms or speeches. Just paperwork. Quiet, factual, inevitable. I scanned everything and saved it in a folder I named Sunset. Then I made coffee and went outside to watch the sky do what it always does, change slowly without asking for applause. Her messages got more erratic after that. Shorter, sharper, the confidence leaking out of them one text at a time. "You cut me off while I'm overseas? What kind of husband does that?" I replied once. "The kind you said was boring." That earned me a voice memo I didn't listen to. I didn't need to. I knew the frequency. Outrage layered over disbelief that consequences had arrived without an invitation. She still thought this was temporary. A phase. Bad whether she could wait out. Meanwhile, my attorney's responses were clean and methodical. Clear steps, clear timelines, no drama. I signed where needed, scanned, sent it back, and then walked the trail again as the sun dropped behind the cedar trees. This time, I wasn't rehearsing arguments in my head. Wasn't composing the speech that would finally make her see. I was just walking, present and uncrowded. She called again 2 days later. Video. Her face filling the screen. Sun caught, irritated, somehow still perfect. "This is not how you handle a marriage," she said. "This is how you handle honesty," I replied. "You're acting like I cheated on you. You told me I was too boring to bring with you and left the country to feel alive." I listened. "You're overreacting." "For once," I said, "I'm reacting exactly right." She stared at me like she was looking at someone she'd never met. "Who are you right now?" I thought about it for a second. Someone who enjoys sunsets, I said. In peace. She ended the call. I went outside and sat on the back steps and watched the sky go dark the way it always does. Gradual, honest, without needing an audience. Somewhere in Tulum, waves carried her frustration out to sea. Here in Austin, silence did something better. It healed. The second week, Tulum stopped being magical. I could tell because her messages lost their captions. No more freedom anthems. Just short texts at odd hours. Why didn't you warn me you were doing all this? You're supposed to be my partner. That last one almost made me laugh. Partners discuss things before they leave, I wrote back. She didn't reply for a full day. Instead, her older sister Claire called me. Dana says you've frozen her out, she said carefully. What's going on? I'm respecting her independence, I said. Isn't that what she wanted? Silence on Claire's end. Then, quietly, she didn't think you'd actually let go. Neither did I said honestly. For a long time. That night, Dana called again. No video this time. Just her voice, stripped of scenery and audience. You filed papers? She said. You did that while I was gone. You chose the timing, I said. You left. That wasn't me leaving you. That was me finding myself. At my expense. She exhaled. So that's it? 8 years, and you don't even fight for it. I fought, I said. You got bored of the fight. A long pause. Then her voice went smaller. You think you're better than me now? No, I said. I think I'm finally even with myself. She came home on a Thursday. I knew because my phone buzzed the moment her flight landed. Daniel, I'm home. An hour later. Are you seriously not picking me up? I typed back one line. We're traveling separately now. Remember? She showed up at the house just before sunset. I heard the cab door, the suitcase wheels on the driveway. She used her key. It didn't work. She tried again, harder, like repetition might change physics. Then the doorbell. I opened it. She looked tired, not from travel, but from a specific exhaustion of arriving somewhere and finding it nothing like you expected. You changed the locks, she said. Yes. You're really ending our marriage like this? While I was gone. It ended before you left, I said quietly. You just said it out loud first. Her eyes swept past me to the house. The porch, the trees, the sky behind me beginning its slow fade to amber. This is what you chose, she asked. Sitting home watching sunsets? I smiled. Not cruelly, just honestly. I chose peace, I said. She turned without another word, dragged her suitcase back to the cab. I closed the door softly and stood in the hallway and listened to the quiet. And for the first time since she called me boring, I felt completely, entirely alive. The divorce finalized on a Tuesday in November. No courtroom, no speeches, just signatures, a confirmation email, and a line from my attorney. You're officially free. I closed the laptop. Didn't feel the triumph people always describe. No grief spiral either. Just stillness. The particular stillness of a thing that had needed to be done. Dana sent one final message a few days later. I never thought you'd actually let go. I stared at it for a long time. You never thought I'd stop adapting, I wrote back. She didn't reply. I heard through a mutual friend that Tulum hadn't been what she'd imagined. That the freedom wore off fast. That traveling separately felt powerful until she realized she had no one waiting when she came back to their hotel room. I don't take pleasure in that. I take peace in knowing I listened the first time someone showed me who they were. Most evenings now, I sit on the back steps as the sun goes down over the cedar trees. Slow, predictable, honest. The same sunset she called uninspiring. The same quiet she decided wasn't enough. Funny thing is, once you remove contempt from the picture, stillness stops feeling like stagnation. It starts feeling like something you earned. I don't miss the version of myself that spent years trying to be interesting enough to keep someone who had already decided to upgrade. I like who I am now, the one who didn't chase her across the Gulf of Mexico. The one who stayed in Austin, separated the accounts, filed the papers, and let Tulum swallow her calls while he sat on his back porch, calm and free, watching the light fade exactly when it was supposed to. Quietly smiling. Finally whole. That's the story. If you've ever been made to feel like you were too much of one thing and not enough of another, you already know how this ends. Drop a comment below. I read every single one.